Hi friends and happy new year. It's me, Amy Rebecca, your internet bestie for all things personal development, intentional living and dream chasing. Nom nom nom. I don't know about you, but for me 2025 is gonna be the year that I start taking my finances really seriously. Not just managing my money and keeping an eye on my budget, but actually making my money work for me. Focusing on savings and investments and ways to make more money and increase my income so that this year can be really abundant for me. That's what I would like the vibe of 2025 to be. Abundant. But abundance does not happen by accident. We actually have to put in the groundwork. We actually have to make a plan, and that's what we're going to be doing today. No more talk because we've got a lot to get through today. First, let's talk about my financial goals for 2025. I'm keeping it simple and I only have 4 for right now, but when I do my mid-year check-in, I might reassess and maybe add some new things in. But I don't want it to be overwhelming or to kind of put too much pressure on myself at the start of the year. So goal number 1 is to have £3,500 in investments. I want to put money into my investment portfolio every single month this year because it was sorely neglected last year. Number 2 is to increase my side hustle income. I started this side hustle challenge back in June of last year with the aim to fund my trip to Las Vegas and LA. Didn't quite manage that, but I'm really impressed with how much money I was able to make. So from the last, I think it was the last week of June, right through until the end of 2024, I managed to side hustle £1,840.26. And as many of you know who were keeping up with last year's financial update videos, I did the least. I am just not someone who has great focus generally in life, so this was really more passive income than side hustling, things that I set up and then in a lot of cases forgot about, but they were carrying on bringing in money on their own, which is, I mean, what more could you ask for? But I think with a little bit more attention and focus and consistency, I could increase that. Goal number 3 is to pay off my Vegas trip, because like I said, the side hustle money was not enough. I still have a big chunk of that hovering over me. It's fine, it's interest free. It's not something that I'm laying awake at night panicking about in a pool of my own sweat. But obviously the sooner I get that paid off the better, because I hate having any kind of debt hanging over me. And my final goal is actually one that I implemented last year that served me so well, and that is to only buy new clothes using the balance that's in my Vinted account. This was excellent for me last year because number 1, it really motivated me to keep listing clothes, going through, decluttering my wardrobe, getting rid of stuff. It also stopped me from overspending on clothes. And honestly, I absolutely nailed this one last year because I spent a total of £215.46 on clothes, which was significantly less than I spent the year before. And I made £324.73 on Vinted. So I was actually able to take that surplus money and spend it on other things. So I'm definitely bringing that into 2025. That was a great one for me. Now let's go ahead and delve into the rest of those numbers for 2024 and see exactly how much I spent on what I spent it on. And I'm also really keen to compare some of those categories to what I spent in 2023 to see if I've improved. Oh, this is the stuff I live for. I am such a spreadsheet nerd. So first, let's take a little look at those monthly expenses month by month. So clearly things started to get a little bit out of control in the first part of that year, and I am willing to bet, without even having to look back at my records, that was car related. Any like random spike is usually because my car had to go into the garage, and this year especially my car was in and out of the garage in a way that drove me to the actual brink of insanity. So I was able to rein that in, pull that back, and then yeah, my spending throughout the course of the year was quite erratic. Obviously December was a big month, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I did go about £160 over budget in December, which doesn't surprise me. Hello, it's so expensive. Such an expensive month. But this as a graph is not looking great. I would love for 2025 to see a little bit more consistency, a little bit less erratic spending. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers. So first off, I want to say that the income from last year, this number doesn't really mean anything because I wasn't tracking my actual income. I was just typing in the amount that I wanted to budget for each month. I'm switching that up this year. I'm changing things around, so we can ignore that. But my total expenses for the year, £9,607.27, except that is a lie. It is a lie, because my trip to Dubrovnik and my trip to Vegas are not counted in that. Because I pulled that money out of my savings and I made an absolute hot mess of how I was tracking my spending last year. Those expenses are not reflected in this. So we're going to clean things up this year. We're going to make things a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more true. But let's just take a look at what I've spent throughout the year. Car maintenance, what did I tell you? My number one expense of 2024, car maintenance at £1,569.76. Hobbies came in second this year with £1,163.63, which I love for me. I actually feel pretty good about that. That's a really big number for me to be spending on one category, but the fact that it's investing in myself and my own joy, I feel really proud of that. Health is the next biggest at £892.22, which doesn't surprise me because my contact lenses are pretty pricey. This one horrifies me in like a really big way. Beauty treatments, £878.80. This is truly a come to Jesus moment for me. I love to go and get my nails done. I only actually get my hair done 4 or 5 times a year. And if I can squeeze in a facial, I love it, but that's maybe once or twice a year, maybe. So the fact that this number right here is gonna be mostly nails, getting my nails done every 3 weeks, they've put the price up, they put the price up again a couple of weeks ago, that is making me rethink the nail situation. There is space for it in my budget, and if that's what I want to spend my money on and that's what's going to bring me joy, then I'm not going to feel bad about that. But at this point, I don't know if it is what I want to spend that much money on. I think if someone said, hey, do you want to have nice nails for you, or like go on a holiday, I'd rather go on a holiday. And I could go on a pretty nice holiday for nearly £900. Social, I spent £787.54. Gifts, I spent £600.95. Petrol, I spent £580.87, which, I mean, there's not really very much I can do about that unless I start walking everywhere, and I won't. Personal is a category that I introduced in 2024 for personal development, investing in myself and my mental health. I spent £460, and pretty much all, if not all of that, was therapy. And it was a big chunk of change to spend, but it was a really necessary and beneficial investment. Drinks of the alcoholic variety, I spent £273.67, and I'm really keen to see and compare that to 2023. Bear with me while I pull this up. Play some kind of elevator music maybe. Welcome back, I found it. So in 2023, I spent £520.60 on alcoholic beverages. So that is a big saving. I've pretty much cut that in half. Anyway, charity, I gave £256.34. Makeup, I spent £227.93, and I would like to compare that to 2023. I can find it. Oh, I actually spent more on makeup in 2024. In 2023, I spent £129.84. So I spent quite a lot more year on year. That does make sense because as I move through my big makeup use up challenge, I have less makeup in my stockpile. I'm having to go out and replace things now because I'm using things up. So that probably explains that. I'm definitely not wearing any more makeup. I only have one face. There's only so much makeup one person can wear. Hair care, I spent £218.61. Miscellaneous, I spent £211.55. Which, miscellaneous is always an odd one because I look at this now at the end of the year and I'm like, and what are you? What was that £200 for? Trips, this is a bold-faced lie. I've got £188.57. That's just what I recorded. The rest is like a dirty little secret that I never recorded. I'm gonna do better in 2025, you'll see. Groceries, £185.24, and I have to say this every time because people get confused. This is just top-up groceries, so not the big food shop, but just when you go in and like run into Lidl and grab something on your way home, that kind of thing. My phone cost me £180. I'm going to be switching my phone contract this year to cut that down. I think I could halve that, or maybe get it even less than half. Clothing, like I said, I spent £154.54, but not really. I mean, technically it was free, if you want to girl math it. Eating out, I spent £145.18. That's got to be less than 2023, I think. Oh my gosh, that's so much less than 2023. In 2023, I spent £462.79 on eating out. Wow, that is a big change. I spent like £300 less. Spotify was £139.88, which I don't love, but I can't not have it at this point. Skincare, I spent £131.28. Toiletries, £127.63. Takeaways, I only spent £80.98. Came in under £100, so I feel good about that. Transport, I spent £78. Coffee, I spent £74.10, which yes, it's not nothing, but I think that's pretty good for someone with a coffee dependency. Under £100 on coffee in a year. I think that shows excellent self-control. So overall, I did spend more money in 2024 than I did in 2023, by about £800 more. That makes sense because of inflation, cost of living, but I feel like my spending habits were better because remember, an enormous chunk of that was my car getting fixed, which I didn't really have control over, and yes, things like makeup and hair care I did spend more on. Lots of other areas I was able to bring the spending down, and other than a few anomalies like car maintenance being my top source of spending for the entire year and beauty treatments being nearly £900, I feel good about a lot of these top areas of spending. Like, I'm glad that I invested so much money into my hobbies. I'm glad I invested money into my health. I'm glad that I invested money into being social. I would much rather see those categories in the top 5 than things like eating out or drinks or clothes, because these are more investments in myself. So now that we've looked at everything that I spent in 2024, it is time to delve into 2025 with a brand new spreadsheet. And I mean brand new. Hold on to your hats, spreadsheet nerds. Take 2. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. I was having so many technical issues when I was trying to film this video yesterday. I decided the best thing to do would be to take a breath, step away, and come back to it refreshed and revived, and hopefully with no more issues today. So let's get into my brand new spreadsheet for 2025 and how I've set this up to achieve my financial goals. I've been using budgeting spreadsheets from a website called CoPlenty for the last 2 or 3 years, and I love them. They're so aesthetic, they're so simple to use, everything just slots together in a really convenient way, and I love them. Last year I used the yearly budget template 2.0, and this year I've got the yearly budget template 3.0 because I'm switching things up. I'm changing the way that I approach managing my money, and I just wanted a clean slate and a fresh start. So we're going to be working through this together. I did read the instructions this time, and the good thing about CoPlenty spreadsheets is that they do come with meticulous instructions, screenshots, and a YouTube video that helps you understand how to use it properly. I will leave a link to the CoPlenty shop in the description down below. I'm an affiliate, so you get some money off if you use my link, which is a win-win. So I have already started putting some of my information in here. I started doing it like a week ago. As soon as I downloaded the spreadsheet, I just couldn't help myself. I just had to start putting in some numbers and playing around with it. So the first thing you want to do when you download this spreadsheet is go to the annual totals tab and start putting in all of the categories that are relevant to you. So if you see here, I've put in for my income all the different streams. I was gonna say strains. all of the different streams of income that I'm expecting to receive throughout the year. So I have my salary, which is from my part-time job. I've got any cash stuffing that I might need to draw from my sinking funds. I've got side hustle income, YouTube and freelance work, which, a small caveat, for the next few months at least, I'm not going to be drawing any salary out of my business account. So all of my YouTube and freelance earnings go into my business account and I take a monthly salary out of that. And I'm not going to be doing that for a little while because I have some pretty big business expenses coming up. And I also just, look, I drained the business account to go to Vegas. Okay, it is what it is. And I need to give it a few months for that to build back up because I like to have money in there in case unexpected, what is going on with me today? Unexpected expenses might crop up. What if I owe more in taxes than I thought? I want to have money set aside in there, so I'm not going to be touching that for a little while. Then in savings, I've made a note of my investments. That is going to be money that I put towards my mutual fund that I have with Vanguard. I have a sinking fund for buying a new car, which is optimistic to the point of delusional, I think. Then I have a holiday sinking fund for any travel that I do throughout the year, because I'm not going to do what I did last year and just pretend that money doesn't exist. An electronic sinking fund in case I need a new phone, a pageant sinking fund because the Miss Galaxy national pageant is coming up in too fast, too soon, and I need a significant amount of money for that, and I have not started saving for that yet. So that's going to be probably my priority for these first few months of 2025, is getting as much money in that sinking fund as possible. I have a Christmas sinking fund. I have a fun sinking fund because with all of this emphasis this year being on saving and investing and trying to minimize my expenses, I love that for me, and it is a really good, responsible choice. It's going to benefit me in the long term, but I also want to make sure that I'm allowing myself small luxuries along the way and having funds set aside in case I have the opportunity to do something or I see something really nice that I want to buy. The money is there, I don't have to feel guilty about it. And then a car maintenance sinking fund, because of course. Then if we go down, we have the £200 a month that I pay for rent. Not really rent because I live with my parents. It's just a thank you for letting me live here type of transaction. And then further down, I have all of my expenses. So once I've paid off my debt and I've put money in my savings and I've paid my £200 to live here, then what's left that I might need to buy? And all I've done is copied and pasted all of the same categories that I used in 2024. I don't feel like I need to add anything, so we're just gonna go with these for now. And then finally we have debt. I'm gonna be looking to pay off £140 a month on my Vegas trip. So now let me show you my tab for January and what we've got going on so far. So I put in my salary that I got paid in December. Go with me on this, okay? I always have to do things a little bit differently. I always have to do things in a way that just makes sense from my brain. So even though I got paid at the end of December, what I like to do is take all of the pay that I got from the previous month and then make that the money that's accessible in the next month. That makes more sense to me because a lot of my money comes from different sources. It comes in drips and drabs, and it's too complicated to be like, okay, well, we're working month to month, but some months I get paid on the 20th and some months I get paid on the 18th, and sometimes I get paid on a random Thursday. Like, no, let's just total up everything that comes into my account in the previous month and use that in the next month. Do you see what I mean? I did make some side hustle money in December, but I immediately used that to pay off a big chunk of my Vegas trip, so there's none left. Again, freelance and YouTube work, I'm not pulling anything out of that at the moment. So all we have is this £1,198.55, and that's fine. That is all we need. Now, like I said, I am going to be switching up the way I track my money this year. Last year, I just focused on my day-to-day expenses and focused on that kind of budget for day-to-day spending rather than focusing on my income as a whole and what all of my money was doing. But this year I want to track every single penny. What is going into savings? What is going into investments? What is going towards debt? I want to know what every penny is doing for me to make sure that I don't end up in a situation like last year where it kind of got out of control. So with that, the plan is every month I will put £100 into my mutual funds. Those are my Vanguard investments. I will pay my £200 of rent. I will pay off £140 for my Vegas trip. And then I will take £750, which is my ideal budget for each month. We might have to adjust that as we go along. But out of that £750, I'm going to be paying bills, subscriptions, petrol, any cash stuffing that I want to do on a regular basis. And then all of my like day-to-day expenses as well. Anything that's left over after I've done my debt, my savings, my day-to-day expenses and my rent, anything left over after those things, I can then look at the end of the month and divide up between my savings pots. If I want to invest more, if I want to put more towards my debt, like then I can decide what I want to do with that money. This seems like a really good way to keep track of everything to me, and it's the simplest way that I can think of, and it just works for my brain. So this right here, these are the reoccurring expenses that are going to be cropping up at the beginning of each month. So things like the rent, things like my subscriptions, things like any direct debits that I have going out, any cash stuffing that I want to do. Like I want to make sure every month I put £20 into my sinking fund. I want to make sure that I put £50 into my car sinking fund. I do have a beauty sinking fund here, but I might just cancel that out or reduce it down to like £20 a month just for facials. I don't know, but yeah, there's a question mark over that one for now. But everything else is just things like direct debits, bills, cash stuffing, and the things I've already talked about, like paying that £140 towards my Vegas trip, paying the £100 into my mutual funds. All of that will be the first thing that goes in here at the beginning of each month, is pay all of that off. So the money that I will have left over once I've taken all those other things out to budget out and spend on all of these different categories is going to be £425.53 a month. I think for the sake of ease, let's just go with 425. And now what I'm going to do is budget out how I'm going to spend that and try and keep the total under 425. That's a goal. So first off, we have groceries. Again, not the big shop, but just popping in and getting little things. I'll budget £20. Yeah, I'll budget £20 for that. Eating out, I don't see myself doing a lot of in January, but let's budget £20 just in case. Petrol, I'm gonna put £50. Car maintenance, I have my £25 insurance and I want to cash stuff £50 into my car maintenance sinking fund. So I've upped that from last year. So that's going to be £75. Gifts, I'm going to cash stuff 30. Health, I'm going to cash stuff 35 for my contact lenses. Beauty treatments, let's put in the 50. And if I don't spend it, I don't spend it, because I still haven't really made a decision about that yet. Clothing, the only thing I want to get is new running shoes, but I think that would fall under hobbies rather than clothing. So no clothing. I do need to get new foundation, so let's put a new concealer. So let's put 20 for that. Skincare, I think I could get through January without spending any money on skincare. Hair care, I definitely don't need anything. Toiletries, I definitely don't need anything. I definitely don't need to buy a book. I don't need to buy a takeaway this month. Let's start as we mean to go on. Let's set high standards. Hobbies. Yikes. Okay, so I'm going to need to spend £70 on pageant coaching, 20 on the gym. That's 90. I'm probably going to spend some money. I want to get back into crafting. Like, I can't talk about it. I wonder how much those running shoes will cost. I'm going to put 110. Oh my gosh, that does not give us, that gives us 15 more pound to budget. This is tight. How did it get so tight? I've been working off a £750 budget since last year. Well, charity, £17.50. We're already over the budget. How is this happening? I see exactly what I've done. Okay, please forgive me. This is my first time using this version of the spreadsheet, and I'm coming at it with a completely different approach this year than I'm used to. So I am figuring it out as I go. I see the mistake I've made. I've put in this £50 of cash stuffing, but I'd already put it in down here. So I'd already deducted that from my budget, and then I went in and essentially deducted it again by putting it in here. And the same with the beauty treatments. So we're going to take that out because I've already accounted for that. Yes. I figured it out. That was exactly where I went wrong. I had totaled all of this up and taken it out of my budget, and then by putting it in here, I was taking those things out for a second time. So, yikes. It's trial and error. Okay, this is my first month with this spreadsheet. Next month, I'm gonna do better. So I've gone back in, and for things that I already budgeted for, was gifts one of them? Yes. I'm gonna zero them out, and there's gotta be a more elegant way of doing this, but I'm not going to figure that out now. I will figure it out in time for next month. Now our budget is looking a lot more healthy. Gosh, I was worried. I was really worried. So for transport, let's say I need to pay parking maybe £5. Trips, 0. Social, I'm going to put 80. Since now I have some more money to play with in my budget, so I can. Drinks, 0. I'm doing dry January and I'm feeling really good about it. Coffee, let's put 7. Personal development, I'm gonna put 25 for that. Phone, I zeroed out because I already included it down in here. Again, hot mess, I know, go with me. Subscriptions have already been included down there, so we'll zero those out. And then miscellaneous, I don't know, let's put 10. Okay, that looks much better. With that, I'm now £100 under budget, so I can go back and add a bit more to hobbies. I lied when I said it was going to be 110, and I knew I was lying to myself. Sometimes I look when I'm budgeting and I'm like, how much do I want this to cost? Not how much will it actually cost, and that's not a realistic way to budget. I'm going to be looking at what, like at least £70 on running shoes, right? 200? That's fine. I'm still under budget if I do that. I made that more complicated than it needed to be. So now, in theory, I should just go about my life, try and stick within this budget that I've planned for myself, and then any money that's left over at the end of January will come back next month, and I'll decide what I'm going to put that into, whether it's going to be some of my savings pots, or paying off more of my Vegas debt. I'm feeling very positive about this. If you want to get your hands on one of these spreadsheets to make budgeting a little bit easier this year, I know I didn't necessarily make it look that easy, but that's me. I will link Co20 down in the description box with a discount code. This video is not sponsored by them. I was just a genuine customer of theirs, and now I've become an affiliate. Let me know what your financial goals are for 2025. Is this your year of getting your finances in order? Let's do it together. But remember that you are enough just as you are. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye guys.